Guys, guys, we need to have a talk. I can't keep making these videos and turn around and see stats like this on Sunday morning. Riders that didn't even race in Oakland made up 13.3% of the picks. What are you doing? But welcome back to another episode of RotoX Fantasy Preview. I'm Donnie, and in this video I have 5 guys to watch, the injury report leading into the weekend, and a preview of what my team could look like. This week is Military Appreciation Week in San Diego, where all the small teams go all out to look as unique as possible, and the factory guys throw some gray, drab, or camo somewhere on the bike and just call it done. I can't stress enough to you guys how important it is to check the qualifying times before the race. Make sure all 8 guys you have on your team are actually qualified to race that night. And if you can't do that because of time zones, or maybe you're at your local track riding yourself, maybe you even just had to take the kids to Disney on ice. Whatever it is, pick a safe team. On Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, go in, pick 8 guys that are locks for the main, guys that qualify well enough, get decent starts, and stay off the ground. And then on Saturday, watch this video again, look at our fantasy cheat sheet, and then change your picks. This week, we have an all-star change. Luke Clout is now an all-star in the 250s, which is great because now I don't have to stress over if I think he is worth it or not. And Michael Mosiman is now eligible for double points, which has to be the absolute lead pipe lock of the week at a 0 handicap, considering he is a bona fide podium contender. Getting into the 5 riders to look at this week, I had a hard time coming up with a 250 All-Star. The only guy who has beat his current handicap in even 4 of the 5 races is Dirty Dylan Ferrandis, who has 4 top 2s in 2020. But I know a lot of you guys don't like to touch those 0 or 1 handicap guys. So my money this weekend is going to be on Alex Martin. A-Mart gets great starts. He pulled the Holy last weekend in Oakland, and he has an average finish that would net you 26 points. Not to mention, it's really easy to find him both on the track and in the leaderboard since he's the only guy on a yellow bike. Don't miss Alex Martin this weekend. One guy I would avoid in the 250 class is Carson Brown. He's been a very popular pick. No one has scored more points than Carson in Pulp this season, nailing double points every single week. But at a 2 handicap going into San Diego, I think most, if not all, of his value is gone. He's still a legit threat to score 26, but we don't want 26. If we were satisfied with 26, we would just pick another All-Star. We're looking for guys that can score into those 30s. But his best finish on 9th looks good on paper, but that was the race where McAdoo collapsed his lung in practice, Christian Craig crashed out in the whoops, and Dylan Ferrandis got into Michael Mosiman in the first rhythm and had to go into the mechanics area. That 9th could have very easily been a 12th or a 13th, so be wary of the mini bike star in San Diego this weekend. When making your picks, I want you to take a long, hard look at Mitchell Faulk. The BWR Honda rider, who you may remember was a rookie with the Troy Lee KTM team last year, had a wrist injury just before A1, but still managed to qualify directly from the heat into the main. Last week he was running top 5 shortly before Mosiman started to pile up in the bull turn, and it was clear Mitchell was out of his league up that far. He could not hang with Hartraft, Mosiman, or even Cameron McAdoo, but I think a healthy-handed Faulk could easily be a 12 to 15 guy, which would score you in the high 30s or more this weekend. Moving on to the 450s, your all-star this weekend is going to be Jason Anderson. No, seriously, stamp it, lock it in right now. If you can pick Jason, pick Jason. Anderson has finished 5th, 3rd, 5th, 3rd, 5th, so naturally this week he should get 3rd. Another podium for Jason. He has finished top 5 every single round this year. He's the only guy to do that, 5 for 5 on top 5s. And with a 4 handicap, he only needs another 5th to score you maximum points. Add in the fact that he took the checkered flag the last time he raced here in 2018, leading 12 laps, and I'm not even looking at any other guys. My high-risk pick of the week is going to be Chad Reed at 11. Did we wake up in another dimension? If 2-time Chad Reed makes the race this weekend, he's going to make the main. And if he makes the main, he will not allow himself to roll around in dead last. And guess what? He only needs to beat 1 guy to score double points. But Chad isn't done. And San Diego is his home away from home. He missed last week particularly so that he could heal up and focus on San Diego, where he is the all-time wins leader. If Reed looks frisky in practice, consider him for your team, and don't be surprised if this is his best finish of 2020 so far. The first to the finish line is more of the same. Austin Forkner is the obvious choice for the 250s, and I'm staying away from the 450s. If you feel you must pick a 450 guy, the data would say Roczen is the guy after scoring 3 out of 5 FFLs so far this year, but remember that he did limp off of the track last week and posted up photos of a very swollen foot on Instagram. I wouldn't be surprised if Ken looks a little slower in San Diego than he has in most recent weeks. I'm staying away from him for FFL, and I'm definitely staying away from him as my all-star pick. In other injury news, and I hate that I even have to cover some of these, but Christian Craig and Jet Lawrence are still out. In addition to Derek Kelly, who broke his leg in week 2, these 3 combined for almost 5% of picks last week. Who even are you people? Blos and Bogle, by the way, both expected to be out, which may be news to the 3.3% of people who picked those guys in Oakland, but all reports do say Benny Bloss should be racing this weekend in an 11 handicap. He is a very enticing pick, but I'm going to wait until I see how he rides in practice before I pull the trigger on that. As covered before, Chad Reed is in for San Diego, but announced shortly just before I filmed this video, Mitchell Oldenburg is apparently banged up, and he is going to be riding press day on Friday before making a decision to race on Saturday or not. Mitch is an all-star, so there's really no reason to mess with it. Pick another all-star, pick Amart, pick Dylan Ferrandis. I would just steer clear of Oldenburg this week. As of Friday morning, my team looks like this. My all-stars are the same as before. I have Alex Martin and Jason Anderson. I have Mosman and Baggett, 2 guys who absolutely should be all-stars. They are top 5 guys. But somehow 5 races in, they're still eligible for double points at a 0 handicap. Mitchell Faulk and Killian Alberson are my early 250 squad, and I have Martin Davalos and Vince Freezy locked in for the 450s right now. I will be taking Forkner as my FFL and skipping the 450 FFL. As always, please remember to follow Rodex Fantasy on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for up-to-the-minute fantasy news as Saturday plays out. I'm usually one of the first ones to report rider news, qualifying standouts, injury updates, and as soon as qualifying ends, I will upload our fantasy cheat sheet. It will have all the qualifying times right next to the rider's handicap and a projected score based off of those fast lap times. And remember, please like the video, leave a comment, let me know who is your lock for this week. And if it's your first time here, please consider subscribing to the video. All of these things really help promote the visibility of the video. It's going to get us more views, and it could potentially attract some sponsors, which would really help out, and it would allow me to potentially get you guys some cool prizes in the RotoX Fantasy League. If you are not a member of the league yet, there is a link in the description below that will take you to our PulpMX League. As always, guys, thank you for watching. May your chizzes chiz this weekend and your Jerry's not always Jerry. Godspeed, everyone, and good picks.